Blog Talk Radio.
This episode of Video Marketing Madness is made possible by Aweber. Aweber is the easy way to do your email marketing. Want to make a newsletter? Want to collect leads? Check out Aweber so you can get yourself started today. You can head on over to raythevideoguy.com/Aweber. And on today's show, we've got a very special guest. It's Don Purdum of unveiltheweb.com. Are you ready for this, Steve?
Yes.
Excellent.
Okay. Good deal.
Let's get the song.
Okay,
He's
all right.
Ray the video guy, yeah, Ray the video guy. His skill is where it's at, even if he's a little fat. He's filled with video expertise and has so much knowledge that you need. His YouTube ninja tricks can make your marketing so sick. He's Ray the video guy, yeah, Ray the video guy.
Was the song breaking up?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, just a little bit.
I wonder what the deal
Not sure
is.
what's up with that, but we'll have to figure it out.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see.
Now, I will say this, though, and it'd be interesting to hear from the listeners if they could hear that, because on these calls, it always sounds all messed up on my end, but it always sounds okay to the end user. So it'd be interesting to see whether they notice that or not. But it always kind of sounds weird on the line for me. So.
Well, you know, when I about 12:30, I was kind of looking around on my computer, and I noticed that there were some updates, that I had to download. I got a Windows. Took 15 minutes to download those, but I've noticed before if I don't do it, the show breaks up for some reason. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, I've had
Very strange.
a little bit of that myself where, even Skype, it just has one of those things, if you don't update it, it has a glitch now and then.
Oh, I had an update for Skype come up, and I didn't update it. It was just right before the show. It's like you want to update it.
I updated Skype, and I'm not exactly. I liked the look of it before. I don't like the new look that they've gone with on it. It's a little tougher to read, I think.
Yeah. Hey, Don, how are you?
I am doing wonderful, Steve. How are you?
Oh, good.
Good.
Don helps businesses grow by thinking like customers and prospects, and he's got a popular blog, and we'll be talking to him about all that here in a little while.
I'm doing good too.
Oh, Ray the video guy.
How did we forget Ray, our host?
Yeah, I know. Well, it's easy. We give each other a hard time. Actually, I give him a hard time, and he's a nice guy, so I shouldn't do that. But
wow, that's frustrating.
It's no wonder I don't have any friends. Now, do you have any furniture left in your house there?
I do not. I mean, with the rare exception, I've got a card table and a couple of folding chairs in the kitchen, and that's pretty much it throughout most of the house, I think.
Oh,
so.
You're still in Morgan, but when do you move out to Riverside next week?
On Saturday. The truck will be here, and we're going to fill it up, and then I will be heading out to California. I think my wife will be staying here once the house is empty to do all the final cleanup and things like that for a couple of days, and then it'll just be a matter of getting the place closed up. And
you've rented a place out in Riverside, right?
We did. We decided not to buy a house, at least not yet. We wanted to get out there and see if we liked it and, just kind of get a nice place for a little while and then figure out exactly where we want to be.
I thought Riverside was nice. I mean, if you want to get to L.A., you can, but you're not in L.A.,
Yeah, and technically, Riverside is the county we're in, so we're not in the busier Riverside area.
Oh, okay.
Out there a little bit, but, much smaller area. But it's part of Riverside County, at least.
Oh, okay. Well, I've been there a couple times. I had a lot of business one time in Riverside, Ontario. I don't know what else. San Bernardino. Anyhow, hey, I forgot to do this business. Hold on just a second. It's the online marketing radio show, Video Marketing Madness, with Ray the Video Guy, and I'm Steve Sleeper. You can like our Facebook page at facebook.com/Video Marketing Madness. Get plenty of useful tips and news of the week. And if you want the stories to show up in your Facebook timeline, just go over to the landing page there and like a few of the stories, and they'll show up. We had a number of people do that last week, so that was nice. Ray's Facebook Mastermind group is groups/online video marketers. You can get views for your videos and questions answered. We're live Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. You can join the conversation at 818-369-1423. And Ray's video marketing tip coming up at the end of the week, end of the show, end of the week.
Yes, you're going to stay online.
It's going to be a long show. Yeah, so. Well, I guess
what to say.
That's right. Well, I guess we got the niceties out of the way, so why don't I go ahead and...
Now we can get mean.
News of the week. God, what's wrong with that?
I don't know. I guess we're just going to have to do our own sounds manually today.
News of the week. We can't exit out of the show and open it back up again, so we're stuck. So.
That's right. We're stuck. That's all right. We only have one more sound effect.
Go. Yeah, exactly. It's not like we do a ton of them, so I guess we'll be okay. Okay, news of the week. This comes from SearchEngineWatch.com. Updates to Google Webmaster Tools make sites more crawlable.
Okay.
Yeah, JavaScript, CSS, and linked images make websites look up to date. They also mean they are sometimes blocked from crawling. Now Google is aiming to remedy that problem by making sure webmasters know exactly which website features are being blocked. And this was in a post this morning on the Google blog. It says its new reporting feature will begin with the names of blocked hosts such as JavaScript. Clicking on the rows column will diagnose the problem in more detail with a list of blocked resources and a step-by-step guide to remedying the issues.
All right.
So, I mean, that's big news if that's, if you're a webmaster.
Which I clearly am not.
Nor I. Don, do you do your own website, or do you get a geek to do that? Or
No, I do it myself. I owned a web development company for 6 years, and I'm, for better or worse, a little smarter than I should be sometimes.
Yeah. I'm smart enough to be dangerous. That's the problem.
Well, and I do my own as well, but I definitely would never consider myself a webmaster of any kind. So,
this is how basic I am. I have landing pages, one-page landing pages, and I use InstaBuilder, and that's it. So if you go to stevesleeper.com, it's an InstaBuilder with, there's a few links to some other things I do on there, but that's about it. I figured it was good enough.
Well, it's one of those interesting things that not everybody has to have the top-of-the-line, most expensive stuff to be effective on the web. And I think that's probably one of the most misleading nomers out there is that my website has to have all of this, and that in order to get traffic and get people to buy me. And we tend to get a little too focused on the technology sometimes instead of the message.
I tend to agree completely, even though my website is probably the worst offender of all that stuff.
Oh, yours isn't bad, Ray. I don't know.
Well, yeah, you have to look under the hood and see all the goofy.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah,
stuff, half of which are turned off. But the other day I was listening to Pat Flynn, and he had a guy on. And what a great idea! And I wish I had known I was going to mention this because I would have looked up the company and had the name of it. But he had a guy on who runs a company that all they do is provide you with X number of hours per month of WordPress help.
Oh.
And it is really, really interesting stuff. So he's got this whole staff, and if you've got 10 hours a month of help, then during those 10 hours a month, you just tell them what you need done, and they go in and they just do those 10 hours and take care of problems and fix things. And that was his biggest thing. Is he says the problem is everybody has way too many plugins. He says I don't like to see people have more than 2 or 3 plugins for their website. So it was really interesting to hear that. And, I said, and if you're not using any, make sure to delete them because it leaves garbage in there. So there you go. That's the new tip of the week.
New tip of the week. Was that John? John that does that?
No, it was Pat Flynn, but I'm not sure who he
was using. Okay, because that sounded like something John Bendever was telling us about a couple of weeks ago. So.
No, it could be. I don't recall if that.
Oh, no, it's not important. Yeah, I just found a simple landing page. I mean, I'm mostly out there digging up leads, with brick and mortar businesses. And, if somebody says, oh, who is this guy? And they Google me. I mean, there's my face. There's a couple of videos about what I do and a link to my LinkedIn page and links to MP3s for the radio show. And that's about it.
Nice. And that's pretty much mostly what I do as well as landing pages. So
yeah, well, yeah, and you're big time. You're Mr. Affiliate,
right?
The whole affiliate world is a little bit different world than the one I'm used to playing with. I'm kind of like you, Steve, that the majority of businesses I've worked with are more brick and mortar, and they're trying to figure out how to actually use this thing we call the internet to help their business.
Right. Yeah.
They know that what they've been doing for the past 20 years isn't working anymore.
Yeah.
And that's about half of my business as well, is dealing with the local businesses and helping them. So.
Yeah, Ray, that was how we got into internet marketing, was doing the bricks and mortars. I'm speaking for Ray. I won't let Ray talk. I tell the story for him, yeah. But then he got into the affiliate a couple of years ago and does well with it. I'm fascinated by the affiliate marketing thing, but it's just not me. But Ray does anything to do with video. He hits it out of the ballpark, each product,
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but
he pays me $5 every time I say that, Don. So that's
then I wasted $5 by going, nah, not really.
See, that's part of affiliate marketing. You brand him, he pays you.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah. See, I'm an affiliate marketer.
Well, that's why I'm moving to a new mansion out in California.
That's right. That's right. With a cement pool. Yeah.
A cement pond.
The Salt Lake City hillbillies.
Right.
Okay, this is from Search Engine Watch. More than 80% of HTTPS URLs display as HTTP in Google.
Ooh.
Because webmasters aren't telling them about it. According to a recent small-scale analysis, more than 80% of the S's, URLs, are not showing up in Google search results. And I guess again, this comes from the Google blog. Yeah, they just didn't index them. They didn't configure them so that Google can see them.
Interesting.
The rest of that story is on the Facebook fan page. That's basically it. We've been talking about that, Don, for like 2 months about the HTTPS. Okay, who's got their speakers turned up?
I don't know.
Oh, that may just be Skype.
Yeah,
Could be.
Could you hear an echo?
I did for a second, but it might have been Skype.
It could be the plate in my head.
Could be. It reverberates off that sometimes,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that whole encryption HTTPS conversation is a really, really interesting one to sit back and ponder for a minute, because I even still sometimes wonder what the specific application is to your average business owner or your average blog that's out there. What is the benefit to it if you're not gathering any type of information from someone specifically? So I think a lot of people are really frustrated by that whole thing that I'm talking to and saying, well, geez, why am I shelling out more money for this thing? What's the point?
Well, supposedly it's a security thing in Chrome, and but it's weird. And I'm not a website guy, Don. I mean, I will admit I know quite a bit about video and video ranking and stuff, but I'm not a website guy. But it seems like 1 week we're saying you got to have HTTPS for security reasons because that's what Google wants, and then the next week it's like, it doesn't make any difference. Then the next week it's, well, you got to do it, as I'm reading the news, as I'm paying attention to the news stories. So,
well, it's always one man's opinion, right? So you're just reading somebody else's different opinion on something that they're learning, and what you end up getting is a conflicting message.
Yeah, and I really don't know. How about you, Ray?
Yeah. I have no idea.
Yeah. we should get like Will Pettit on to tell us what he thinks sometime.
I'm not smart enough to know or care.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't care, but
yeah, same with me. SearchEngineWatch.com. Google reveals Android app for on-the-go campaign management. After a slew of product launches for AdWords in recent weeks, Google has now revealed an Android app for doing your AdWords. It's in the Play Store. It claims to enable advertisers with an easy way to view and manage campaign performances on their droids.
Interesting. Haven't they had an iPhone one forever?
Yeah.
That's kind of odd, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah, but I'm like 99% sure they have. Well, I mean, I don't know if I'd want to be doing my AdWords campaigns on my phone, but I do have a Droid tablet, and if I was doing a ton of AdWords campaigns, it'd be kind of nice to, I guess, do it from the den, while watching TV. I mean,
makes sense.
Search Engine Land, another story from there. YP launches new local search marketplace for national advertisers. New pay-per-click marketplace targets highly qualified local audiences. Now, YP.com, you may say, so what? But I guess it means something.
Means something to them, I'm sure.
Yeah. Once dismissed as the exclusive domain of small businesses, brands and national advertisers are recognizing the importance of local data and local search. Okay. YP has built a new PPC platform to appeal to these national locals called YP Search Marketplace. It's a paid search bidded marketplace that taps into the company's 80 million monthly users on PC and mobile. So it allows marketers to import or modify current campaigns and run them on the YP network. The tools bidding and reporting are nearly identical to those found in Google and Bing, so the question arises, who cares? Actually, the question is, why should I need this when location extensions are locally targeted in the major search engines? And YP argues that their network audience are more likely to buy. That's basically what they're saying. According to a recent ComScore study, 77% of people who use YP or initiated a search in YP contacted a merchant after the search, while with Google and Bing it's 66%. That's interesting.
Yes.
It still kind of falls under the who cares. I shouldn't say who cares, because they got a pretty good database. YP does. I mean, it's a pretty darn good database.
The question is, how do they use the database to benefit the business owners that might be interested in
Be a sales consultant. Oh, sure, be a sales consultant. I'm sorry, I was making a wise-ass comment. Go ahead, Don.
No, just one of those things. You step back and you have to ask that question of, what is your relevance in the marketplace? I mean, you were Yellow Books for all of those years and for a century almost, and changing a brand like that overnight is a very challenging thing to do. Just ask Blockbuster.
Mm-hmm.
I can only think of like one company that's ever really done it.
Yeah,
that would be LG.
Yeah.
It used to be Lucky Gold Star, made all those cheap, crappy TVs, and then the next thing you know, they're this high-end brand. But other than that, I can't think of any.
But they're still in the same market. They still manufacture a TV,
right? Yeah.
or some type of a consumer electronic, right? But YP's saying, I'm going to go from being a phone book that sold how many millions of dollars in advertising or billions of dollars in advertising in my phone book to being this online platform that does something completely different.
Yeah, no, I think their time has passed already. I can't. I mean, I'm sure they'll survive. I'm sure they'll do okay, but I can't imagine them thriving.
Yeah, it seems like. And just a few observations. I'm not arguing one way or the other for them, but it seems like Google recognizes it as an authority site. So if you Google lawyers in Salt Lake, let's use Omaha because that's where I have Googled. If you Google lawyers in Omaha, Nebraska, then the YP is going to be on first page.
Well, yeah, and it should be because they're probably the largest database.
Yeah,
that's where Google gets all of their information, I'm sure, is through scraping sites like that to create their local listings as well. So,
and I have talked to some attorneys, Don. That's who primarily I go after. I have talked to some attorneys that said, I've gotten a few things, I think, from YP, and they do manage a lot of AdWords campaigns using YP landing sites. And now I'm not saying they work. I'm just saying I've seen it a lot.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, I was talking to somebody the other day. They had just, I don't know if it was with YP or not, but they had just gotten one of those little mini landing sites from somebody, and I thought that was kind of funny because I didn't really think that was something that people really did anymore, but apparently they do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do.
Very, very interesting. I think that by the time we're done with our conversation today, we're going to have maybe a clearer understanding of why these businesses, just because they have a landing page, are really struggling. Why aren't those landing pages working? Why aren't people getting the customers and the prospects that they're looking for? I think there's a much bigger contextual picture here that a lot of people forget. That there's these foundational things that people just skip and go straight to the technology. So it may not be so important where you have your platform or what platform you're on, as it might be what do you have to say that's relevant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I agree. TechCrunch.com. Google adds song lyrics to top of search results, points searchers to Google Play. So if you search on Stairway to Heaven lyrics, the lyrics show up right in Google.
It's funny. That seems to be a popular thing these days because I know that the announcement of the Apple Watch the other day, it showed the Shazam app on there, and you hear music playing in the background. You turn on your watch and ask the app to listen, and all of a sudden it's going along reading the lyrics as the song's playing. It catches up with the song and it shows the lyrics. Just a song playing on a speaker system that you walk into a room or whatever.
Oh. Well, I guess they're trying to steal traffic away from AZ Lyrics or SongLyrics.com. And it also says it seems to work better with classic rock than new stuff. So if you Google a Taylor Swift song, it's not showing up yet.
Who?
Yeah, who? Ray's favorite artist, Taylor Swift.
Never heard of her.
Never. Hey, do you got any news, Ray?
No.
Let's see. I've been moving. Let's see if this is working yet.
And now for something completely different.
Okay, that worked. Yeah. So maybe the gremlins shook themselves out. I
guess so. So now for something completely different. Yes, we've got Don with us, and he is from unveiltheweb.com. And as he kind of alluded to earlier, he helps businesses to grow by thinking like their customers and prospects. He's also a big-time YouTube vlogger, so that should be exciting to talk about. And so, Don, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It is really a privilege to be here, and thanks for the opportunity.
Well, you won't think that way in about a half hour. Yeah.
20 minutes from now. What the heck was I thinking? Well, Don, let me get started with kind of the popular and fun thing here. So you list yourself as a vlogger. That's, for those wondering what the heck that word is, that's video blogger shortened down because we have to shorten everything down. And so tell us a little bit about your vlogging and how you use that in your business.
Well, I use a video blog, intentionally every single day at a minimum to put out maybe a 45-second to a minute 30 presentation of kind of what's my thought around today. What's one idea? What's one concept? What can I put out there that's going to be of value to the people that subscribe to my YouTube page, or to the people who find value in jumping over the website and just picking up that quick tip to say, I didn't think about that one before. And it's really become very popular, and it's become one of those things that people come to expect. The other interesting thing about it is that then there's that sweet spot of about a 10 to 12-minute video that I do once a week. And that video is generally centered around somebody in my Facebook community, and my group page, or somebody emails me and they've got a question or a concern about something and they don't know what to do. One of the funnest things I enjoy is actually creating a video to answer the question.
Nice. Yeah, that actually is very, very cool. I know that I've done that in the past with the answering a question videos, and that's been pretty popular every time we've done that. I think people like to hear, their stuff being addressed directly, which is kind of nice.
So it's really cool when you can say, hey, Linda from Rochester, New York, today, and she had the following question, and you've got your iPad right there, and you read the question.
Nice.
And then you answer it.
That's fun stuff. Now, let me ask you this. You said you do kind of a daily short take on that. Do you do that through Hangouts, or is it a traditional video?
No, I go to YouTube, and I just record it straight off the webcam.
Nice.
Straight into YouTube.
Oh, that's neat. That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually was doing that for a while, and then, missed one day, and next thing you know, I wasn't doing it anymore. So
it was a week that turned into a month that turned into a year.
Well, not quite that bad, because I was still doing a lot of videos here and there, but kind of the daily minute sort of thing kind of went away, which I really should start getting back into. And I think part of the problem was, in the place where I was located, as far as office space and all that, it just wasn't conducive to doing it. It was kind of a pain in the neck. But I think as we move into the new office and set things up, I think I do want to go back in that direction and kind of do that again, and just have it where it's kind of set up all the time, and he could have to worry about it.
He could only get DSL and Morgan, so.
Oh yeah, and that's part of the problem too. Is sometimes the internet just wouldn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't want to cooperate.
Exactly. Didn't want to agree.
So, Don, one of the things that I put on the notes when I said you're going to be on the show is you help businesses grow by thinking like customers and prospects. And one of the things that I always have to remind people in customer service, although this is probably one of the reasons I work by myself now, but when I own companies or worked for companies, I had to remind customer service that you are not the customer is. And I think people get real confused about who the customer is. They start thinking they are. And that sounds weird. It's like, oh, come on, people can't. But they do, they start thinking, well, this is important to me, so it must be important to my customers and prospects,
Yeah.
And so how do you get businesses to think like customers and prospects? I mean, obviously your website's got a ton of good info. Oh, and by the way, your website is unveiltheweb.com, before I forget. But yeah, how do you get people to do that?
Well, the first thing that has to happen is there has to be a realization that your mind is trapped in a mass marketing context. Mm-hmm. For over 300 years, we've been exposed to mass marketing from newspapers and advertisements. I found recently an old advertisement for an auction by George Washington, of all people. That was kind of cool. But when you sit back and you think about the influences of mass marketing, you end up having one message to everybody. And that worked for a long time because that was the vehicle. I mean, a TV commercial, you're not really targeting, not in the way that you think that you're targeting. So when I start saying that kind of language, I have to take them through a process to help them realize that when I ask you what problem do you solve, I really want to know a problem that is very specific that you solve for one person. But what I will generally get is I will get an answer of maybe 5 or 6 things that somebody does.
Right.
But I'm not asking you what you do. I'm asking you what problem you solve without telling me what you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good point.
You know what I run into, and this kind of falls right into that, and so anybody who's listening that's in this kind of a business, pay attention here, is, I run into like dentists, and they want to have a video, and we use the Spectra 9 850 3000 plus Lightning Master 400, and I was kind of laughing. I'm like, nobody knows what that is. Nobody cares what that is.
Right.
What does it do? Well, it whitens teeth. Okay, then tell them you whiten teeth.
So in that situation, Len, who's that about? Is that about the dentist or about the prospect?
Oh, it's absolutely about the dentist, or it's about his competition.
Absolutely. So they're all talking to each other in their own language.
Exactly.
And that's the trouble that we get in when we get on the internet. For almost 99% of the websites that I'll look at the social media posts that I'll look at, are self-absorbed and focused on the company or the product or service. And it leaves the person looking at that information wondering, so what does that have to do with me?
Yeah.
We mentioned so what earlier, right, Steve? And that really is the crux of it. So what? If we think about our own patterns when we go on the internet and we start looking for things, if I go to Google, what do I search for? What is the criteria that I search for what I need? The starting place is always a problem.
Yeah.
Does it solve the problem?
So I'm always starting off with, my dog bumped its nose and it's got a big swollen area on the side of the snout. Now, imagine if there's a savvy enough veterinarian out there that writes about that subject in a blog. Just one topic for one problem, for one person.
Yeah.
And it doesn't deal with what the veterinarian actually does or the technology they use or the x-rays they're going to take. That person just wants some type of acknowledgement, number one, that you understand me and my problem. Number two, you care that I care about my dog. And number three, that hopefully your content was so compelling and so interesting that, okay, now I can't do this on my own. I better not wait this out. I better call.
Yeah.
I'm beginning to think that you raided my script and stole it.
But you know what? I fall into that trap.
Oh, we all do.
I fall into this self-focused trap all the time. I'm speaking to an attorney about something, and it was probably the second or third conversation with him, and he said, "Steve, I have no idea what you're telling me." And I started laughing, and I said, I said, I kind of have I use this language every day that it becomes so commonplace for me that I fall into that trap. And so I did a take two and said, here's what it means for you. And he said, okay, now you're making sense. But yeah, I fall into that trap constantly. And I've been doing this for 35 years, and I fall down that hole all the time.
Well, now imagine for just a second that you've only been in this for 5 years.
Yeah. Mm.
And that you started your business in an environment that's a completely different one than the world we're in today. I mean, in 2010, it was a very different world than right now. I really believe we are in a major transformational shift right now. We're kind of stuck between that mass marketing and how do I get into a context of understanding my audience and knowing who they are and the problems that they're struggling with. How do I get in their minds and think through what is it they need to solve their problem, and how am I a part of that solution?
Mm-hmm.
Without coming right out and just screaming all over the place, buy me, buy me, buy me, buy me, buy me. If anybody hasn't figured that out by now, the old ways of putting up squeeze pages and buy me, buy me, buy me, those days are over. You might get lucky and hit a certain audience if you happen to have just a really unique or different product. But for the majority of business owners out there, just throwing stuff up on a landing page and screaming, buy me, good luck.
Well, I found too, Don, that having being of service mindset, that, the relationship comes first. I don't worry about the sales. so much. I mean, I still remember the closing techniques, don't get me wrong, but just being about service and developing the relationship first and foremost seems to cover a host of sins for me.
Well, and that's a great point, Steve, because I think the reality of it is we're getting more and more into this environment where I don't have to sell anymore.
Yeah.
If I do a really, really good job in my marketing, and if in my videos, in my podcast, in my blog content, if I have done a really good job of laying out exactly what the problem is and how I'm going to solve it, the sale ought to be easy.
Although, I still have to do things like, okay, what's next? What do we do?
Oh.
I have to get, if I'm having a conversation with a prospect, I still have to do a close at the end of the conversation, and just something as simple, when should I call you next? What do you want to do next? You know what I'm saying here.
No, I know exactly what you're saying, and I think what happens for a lot of people is they confuse marketing and sales, and they blend them. And when you blend them, you actually end up confusing the prospect because you're probably coming off as confused, or you are confused, and you're not giving them a compelling reason to buy you anymore. Your marketing got them to the door of walking in or picking up the phone and calling and saying, I want to have a conversation with you. All the sales should do is give them the opportunity to buy. Your marketing did its job. Now all you have to do is just ask them for the money.
Mm-hmm.
But don't complicate it and start getting back into the old habits of talking about, great, now that you're here, let me take you all through the features and benefits again. Let me tell you why you should buy it again. Because what if what you say runs now contrary to why they walked in when they consume that content wherever?
Now, that, I guess, is the crux of thinking like a customer and a prospect, not thinking as, think as a buyer, not a seller. You are a seller, but think like the buyer.
Think like the buyer. Just give them the reason to buy. They will do it. They'll do it. I mean, they're already there. If they had no intention of buying, they wouldn't have walked in the door. So your job when they walk in the door or pick up the phone or whatever the case may be is to give them a reason to cross over that bridge 100% of the way. And you do that by just listening, by affirming, and by giving them the information that they need for those next steps, whatever those next steps may be. If you're a service provider, your next steps are going to be a little bit more than somebody who's just walking in to buy the LG TV, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, but if they get a confused message anywhere, it's going to trigger in their brain subconsciously right out of the gate that my why, the why I'm going to buy you, has just gone upside down, and now I don't feel quite comfortable about this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I've seen that happen. I see it happen a lot, and I'd like to say I've never done it, but
And the only reason I know about it is because I am guilty of doing it myself.
Yeah.
But there is that point in your marketing that if you've done a really, really good job in your marketing, the sale ought to be easier. I didn't say it would be easy, and I'm certainly never going to tell you it's a guarantee, but I'm going to tell you that it's a much easier shift to make in the sale when your marketing's done its job well. So if you've defined what the tangible value is, out of the tangible value, if you've solved the problem that they have within that tangible value, and if you've given them a reason to cross over, then they've already decided to buy. You just have to give them the opportunity and get out of their way.
Ray, isn't that really what you do with affiliate marketing, though?
It's fairly similar, yeah. I mean, it's just a different type of product, but it's the same type of marketing, no doubt about it.
Because it's not like you just decided to send out a bunch of emails to people one day selling a video widget. I mean, although it looks like that sometimes, but actually that's not exactly what I meant. That sounded like a put down. But I mean, you make it look easy was what I was trying to say. But you had to develop relationships with developers, with people
Sure.
that are building products. You had to develop relationships with other affiliate marketers to grow your list, and then you had to develop trust with your list. And Don Ray and I we had a guy on last week that was had come up with a new product that would show you how to do affiliate marketing and how to do a launch and do the whole process. And he had a camera over his shoulder for like 6 months doing this, and then he edited it down and was releasing it as a product, and it sold well. And I asked Ray, I said, well, how did you do it? He said, I did okay, but it wasn't video related. So, the non-video related stuff just does okay. The video stuff, I do better with. Mm-hmm. So he's developed that trust with his audience that, he's going to have some cool video products, and that audience are all video marketers, so.
But, and a part of it is, too, I've always got to try and educate them. You can't just do a video. There's got to be other things supporting it. Otherwise, you can make the best sales video in the world, but if you don't have a website to put it on, what good is it? That kind of a thing. So, yeah, you have to have all those other things in there as well.
Well, and there's something that predates all of that. And that's sitting down and literally doing the work and scoping out very specifically what business am I really in. Mm-hmm. That's kind of a question I've been branded around over the last 6 months, and there's a lot of conversation around me about people asking themselves and beginning to understand that I don't really know what business I'm in. I know what I sell, but I don't know what business I'm in.
You know what I tell people? I tell them they're all in the same business. The people collecting business.
Well, and that's good, but what if you could take it one step further?
Well, Ray's got a basement full of people, and they're trying.
That's right. I've been collecting them for years.
They're trying to get out, Don. So
keep having to replace them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's great. Oh gosh, but
you think I'm kidding?
California doesn't have basements, so I don't know.
But if you do that foundational work, and you can figure out, again, the tangible values, the problems I solve, who do I specifically solve them for, and then how are my products and services a part of a solution, I've now created an entire roadmap for all my content marketing, whether it's in a blog, a podcast, in video. I begin to get clarity around my business, and the number one thing that will kill a business is when a business owner doesn't have clarity. And I can tell every single time who those people are when I just walk up to them. And what's the number one question we ask somebody when we first meet them?
What do you do?
Mm-hmm.
What do you do? And I can tell right out of the gate when they can't answer the question.
I always like, what's the frequency, Kenneth?
Well, and when we go out and we meet a new client or a potential new client, we never ask them, well, what is it you do? The one question we always ask them is, who do you help? Mm-hmm. And I think that gets them to really kind of put that clarity out there, rather than saying, well, what do you do? Oh, I'm a dentist. It's like, well, we say, who do you help? Mm-hmm. And they can provide, well, we help, people that blah, 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 that kind of a thing. And it kind of really clarifies it not only for us, but I think it does for them as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And when you can develop that kind of clarity, it changes everything. It changes when I can, because I literally take people I've got a small program that I take people through in about 4 to 6 weeks, and I help them get that kind of clarity really fast in that 4 to 6 week period. It's a little painful for them, but it's a really great exercise. And when they're done, they can look and go and talk to anyone, anywhere, online, offline, doesn't matter. And they are so much more persuasive. They're so much more inspirational. People are actually starting in a short period of time to come out of the woodwork. And the business owner or the entrepreneur is sitting there going, well, why didn't this happen sooner? Well, it didn't happen sooner because you focused on the wrong things. You went straight to the technology, or you went straight to printing the flyers and the business cards and the brochures and the billboards and whatever it is you did. You went straight to that stuff without really getting a good handle on your business. But when you get your handle on your business that tightly and that clearly, it changes everything. And it can do it really fast. And it's exciting to watch when people have that transformation. And it sounds like, Ray, you've had a little bit of that kind of experience yourself with your customers.
Oh yeah, especially with the local ones, just because we have to deal with them so intimately. We're literally in their business at that point in time. So it really helps to kind of understand that and help them to understand that. And like we always try to tell them, when we're shooting videos, 2 things we tell them to do. One is to speak to the one, which is, in other words, have an avatar. Who's your we always start off asking the person, who's your favorite customer? Who is your ideal customer? And I don't mean, in theory. I mean, name him. Who is it? Well, it's Bob. Okay, why is Bob your favorite customer? Well, because he always listens to what I have to say, and he does what he needs to do. And okay, great. Talk to Bob. Don't talk to an audience. Talk to Bob. And that's kind of how we started off. And then the second thing we always tell them is, now when you're talking to Bob, remember, nobody wants to buy a drill. They want to make a hole. Mm-hmm. So sell the hole, not the drill. And so we're always telling them, you got to address the problems and the solutions that you provide, not how you do it. And I think those are the two big things that we like to really get in their heads.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you go online, it even gets a little more exciting than that, because you can start to look at it and say, okay, now that I've got this clarity around my business, my website's really clear. It talks, the home page is very concise. It says exactly what business I'm in. Every blog article is written to one person with one problem, with one solution. Same thing with video, podcast again, etc. But where it gets really exciting is when you get out there on the blogosphere and you say, okay, there are 3 main audiences that we have at any one time. There's our primary audience. Those are the people that are ready, willing, and able to buy from us. That's who we're targeting and we want predominantly, right? But the second group that we want to talk to are those who serve the same audience we do, but in a different way. So these are people we want to network with online that have access to our primary audience. They may be influential bloggers or podcasters or videographers, or there may be a number of different types of genres that are mixed in there, but we want to find out who those people are and start connecting with them and giving them value without asking anything in return. And if you do it right, just speaking from experience, it's massive.
Sure.
And then that third audience is everybody else. You don't know who is in there digging around, looking around, that may be a candidate to move into one of those other 2 positions. And so when you have clarity, what you're doing is creating the environment or the opportunity so that you can capitalize on things when they happen. And the biggest things that hurt businesses are opportunities come and they're not ready for it.
Yeah, and we've seen that quite a few times. I remember we were working with a company that was a manufacturer, and they got a massive order. But the problem is, you got to make the product, and if you don't have the money to make the product, and they're paying on a net 60 or 90, how do you deliver? And we've seen that where these guys, they were rushing down to banks to try and get money to manufacture, and it was a nightmare. But it was a ridiculous opportunity, but it was very difficult to be able to do it.
Yeah, and manufacturing companies are interesting unto themselves because their markets, they don't realize they're in retail. That's the funny thing about manufacturers. But if you're a manufacturer listening to this podcast today, understand you are in retail. You just have an additional component. Because if you're not selling that to somebody who's going to resell what you sell them, then you don't have anything to make.
Mm-hmm.
So you do have marketing that should be done, and you may have a whole opportunity sitting out there that you're not even aware of right now because you don't really know who those core audience types are. You just know that, well, this is the traditional people that are going to buy what I manufacture.
Well, there you go. I love it. And these guys were in both. They did both retail, direct retail and wholesaling. So,
Don Purdum is our guest from unveiltheweb.com, and he helps businesses grow by thinking like customers and prospects. Now, here's one thing. I'm shifting gears a little bit, Don, but you write a popular blog, and you were able to make that popular within a very short amount of time. So tell us about the blog and tell us about how you were able to make that popular, because I'm just getting into blogging now. Okay, and I'm fascinated by that. How did you make that work?
Well, the number one thing was what I did for myself, what I tell my clients to do and my prospects to do. That's the number one thing. But the second thing that I did was I sat down and I figured out, okay, if this is the problem people are having, then I need to write to that problem.
There you go.
And when I started doing that, I had a second strategy. And by the way, this is all part of it. That what comes after you do the first part of building your foundation is you have to have strategies, goals, and objectives. Strategies being high level, I want to do this. The measurable specific goals, how am I going to accomplish what I want to do? And then the objectives or the tasks, which are the specific items I'm going to do to make those goals possible or to realize those goals. So what I did was, when I began writing the content, I went out on the web and I started doing some research on bloggers that were inside my niche. They don't quite do the same thing I do, but they help other businesses figure out how to position themselves in the marketplace, but they do it very differently. And as I began connecting with them on their blogs, and some of them were very influential. There's one person, and I'll mention her by name, Adrienne Smith, who has hundreds and hundreds of people that comment on her site every day. Mm-hmm. And when I talk about comments, I don't mean, hey, Adrienne, thank you so much, great article. I mean, these are 2, 3, 4 full paragraph comments that she gets. And what I did was just started reaching out to her and getting her ideas from inside her blog article about a different way to think about it or a different strategy to employ. I tried to figure out some kind of way to give her some extreme value. And just doing that over a couple of weeks, what she started doing is she started telling me, she started introducing me to her friends. Hey, you got to meet Don. You got to meet Don. This guy's brilliant. Look what Don's doing. Look at this. Read that article. And she started not just sharing me all out over social media, but she started telling people in the comments or in her blog about me. And then that started happening with other bloggers that were out there at a short period of time. And what I discovered by osmosis through the process, it didn't happen intentionally in the beginning, but I'm a great offline networker. I've been an entrepreneur for 10 years, and I learned how to network and build businesses, and those are great experiences. But what I learned is online networking is the same as offline networking. It's just that the tools are different.
Okay.
So if you can position yourself as an influencer among influencers,
yeah,
then they will do the work for you, and that's what happened for me. So fast forward that, my blog did grow very quickly, and I got into a unique position in December where SEM Rush reached out to me. I don't know if you guys are familiar with them or not.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
They reached out to me, and now I blog for them as a monthly contributor. I'll be on a webinar with them tomorrow, talking with their audience, and then it's opened up a whole bunch of other cascading doors with business journals now.
Oh.
And that's really exciting to me because guess where my core audience is hanging out?
Yeah.
Is right there. So as you network your way and extend your tentacles amongst influencers, if you do a masterful job of, I'll say it this way, I read an interesting blog article yesterday where a gentleman talked about don't brown-nose bloggers. And there's a lot of truth in that. Don't go after the big fish, not the really big ones, because they don't care about us.
The 2 Bs.
Yeah, go after the ones that are your mid-range bloggers that have enough influence that they know other people, that you can extend your tentacles and build your reach that way. Don't go trying to reach, Gary Vaynerchuk. Mm-hmm. Gary Vaynerchuk, I could promote him all day long. He's never going to promote me.
Yeah.
He's just not, nor should he, because he's got how many other millions wanting the same thing. But if I can find an audience that we can all build our blogs and grow together and introduce people that as we're learning about each other, we can make connections and networks and help them build their business while they're helping us build ours, we create this massive win-win environment. But it all starts at the basic level of competency. And if you're not really clear about who you are and what you do, neither of those influencers going to be, and they're not going to have a reason to promote us or to connect with us, no matter how much we do for them, because they're not going to know how to.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the authority and the content has to be there, or the content and the authority. I mean, the content creates authority and influence.
Absolutely. So you better really know your business really well. You better be a subject matter expert, and you better be willing to put all of that on the table so that people know you know what you're talking about. I mean, we've got to be honest about this. There's a lot of people on the internet that, man, they can talk a great game, but they really don't know anything.
Yeah. Well, ain't that the truth?
And then people get burned by that, and then they end up not wanting to reach out to people that are reputable to do business with them because of it.
No.
I totally agree. I've run into that probably more times than anything else. That's probably the biggest objection I get. Oh, I've done that web stuff before. It doesn't work. Yeah. I spent a ton of money with this guy, and nothing ever happened. Those are the big complaints that I always hear from people.
And Ray, part of that problem could have been alleviated, because this is a real possibility. When I own my own web development company, and this is what led me down the road to what I do now, is I would get people they don't want a website just for the sake of having a website. If you're going to spend $5, $10, $20, $50,000 on something, you want to know if you're going to get your money back. Mm-hmm. You want to know if you're going to get a return on your investment. Will it help me become more profitable? Will it save me money or make me money? Well, what almost always happens to web designers and developers and people in social media or search engine optimization is those companies are really good at what they do, but they can only help you to the point that you've helped yourself. I can optimize your website in SEO to drive tons and tons and tons of traffic to your website. But if your website means nothing and says nothing and helps no one, then what incentive does the person on your website have to buy from you or contact you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Good question.
Yeah, absolutely.
So many times, some of those companies get caught in a catch-22 because they're really good at what they do. It's just that they can only do with the information that they're given, and anything outside of that is really not their fault. But who's going to get blamed?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
Well, and that's when we first started working with local businesses. This is being me and a couple of other guys that I worked with. We actually, and this is kind of unusual, but this is exactly how we did this, is we actually worked right out of this first person's office, answered phones with them, and just really got absorbed in the business, because what we were finding is that, we could get you to, number one on page one of Google. We can get you to the top of YouTube. But if you pick up the phone and you're a jerk to everybody that calls, it doesn't matter,
Yeah.
So there's just so many other things involved, and it really was quite eye-opening to be able to sit in there and really be a part of that and see all the different components that really make that up.
Well, it all really just comes back down to clarity, right? I mean, there's just no way of getting around this. And how many of your listeners today might be sitting in here wondering, okay, well, I'll just be honest with you. I talk with people every single day who think they have clarity until they're asked the right questions. Mm. They think they already have all the answers. They think they already believe it. But the fact of the matter is, you can be having a profitable business and not be clear. Mm-hmm. If your product is really that great of a product. That is completely possible. My question for people is, how much more profitable could you be? How much money are you leaving sitting on the table? Because there are people out there that aren't buying from you because they either can't find you, or when they do find you, they're not interested. You just don't inspire them at all. They're not even remotely interested in what you have to say because you're boring or you're self-absorbed.
My wife keeps telling me that. So you've got 4,000 qualified prospects on LinkedIn, 4,000 plus. So I'm guessing then you have networked with them in a similar fashion to what you've been talking about.
Oh, absolutely. LinkedIn is probably the most powerful tool that I use next to my Facebook community page. The reason for that's really kind of self-evident in some ways because that's where my audience is at.
Mm-hmm. Right.
First and foremost, but secondly, because I always address. I'll tell you. Let me rephrase this. This is really kind of an interesting way to say this. The most exciting part for it is when I post something and somebody says, "Were you just in my head, or did you just get a glimpse of my life?" How did you know?
Yeah.
That. There's nothing more that excites me every day than when I get an answer like that, whether it's in my blog, in a LinkedIn post, a LinkedIn discussion board, wherever it's at, that tells me I'm resonating.
Right.
And when people say, how did you know? You know what? I'd love to tell you, Steve, how I know. Let's have a 30-minute conversation. Do you have some time this week to chat?
Yeah, there you go.
I can tell you, my buddy Jeremy of Jason and Jeremy of Internet Business Mastery, one of the things that they do is they pose a ton of questions. And when they start to get answers from it, they literally use the words people use to write their blog posts and to write their sales copy. And they spend a ton of time analyzing exactly what people are saying on their message boards or on other message boards and literally use that to write their content and not just the idea, people are talking about video, let's write an article about video. But very specifically, they used these words, let's put those words in the title, that kind of a thing. And that's exactly what they've always said is, they love that. People will say, are you in my head? How did you know I was thinking that? It's amazing. And my Facebook community group is I just started it on Saturday. I've already got 40 blog articles lined up because one of the questions that I ask them to do, there's 3 questions. I ask them to tell me what is your business. And then the second question I ask them is what major problem do you solve for your customers? And then the third and the big question is, what's your most burning unanswered question about how to get more prospects and customers? Nice.
They tell me more about their problems and what they're trying to do than I could ever dream of.
Wow, that's an awesome.
Yeah.
It's really good when people are able to open up like that and you can really get that insight. That just makes things so much easier as far as helping them out.
Well, and it's elegant, but it drives to the heart of what it's all about. Very quickly, very simply.
It does. Let me share with you what one lady wrote about her burning question, and I created a video off of this and a blog article, which is just going gangbusters out there. Here's what it was. She said, "Well, one of her company, is my military audience. My marketing there is my bread and butter, and I'm able to get small contracts rather easily because I'm an influencer in that audience. However, the clients are all small business owners, so there's a limit to the value of a single contract, which is around $8,000 to $10,000. On the other hand, Rail 2 is my money maker. Example, I just closed an $80,000 contract for a once-a-month training session for a healthcare team. Where is the friction point at which I let someone else take over the small business side of the house, and I focus my energy on the corporate contracts, keeping in mind that I'm a key person of influence on the military-based contracts?" That's a great question.
Yeah, it is a great question.
That's a great question. So I answered it. Yeah. Instead of giving her a big reply back, that's a blog article and a video. So I made a video around it, which I'm pulling it up on my blog. I don't remember exactly how long the video was. It was several minutes. I want to say it was probably about a 5-minute answer. It was 4 minutes, 49 seconds. And the title of the article is, "When should I let someone else handle an area of my business so I can focus on more important things?"
I need to go read that article.
And I laid it all out. And of course, clarity comes back into focus there with strategies, goals, and objectives. You have to know where you're going. Your vision has to be in place for that. So, case in point, I've got owner after owner, business owner, entrepreneur after entrepreneur telling me on my Facebook community page right now exactly what their problems are. I don't have to guess anymore. I mean, not that I didn't know anyway, because I did, but just to your point, Ray, I've got my audience telling me in their keywords exactly what the problems are. So why not use their words? Because if they're thinking it, how many other people are thinking through the same problems?
Right. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Beautiful stuff. And there's no doubt that, once you kind of get into that head there, that they're going to keep coming back. They know at that point that you've got exactly what they need. And of course, hopefully they turn into customers and not just, visitors. But even if they're just visitors for a while, they know that you have the answers. And when it's time, they're going to come to you.
And that's right. And because these people are coming into our community on Facebook, whenever I put a post, and I'm trying to remember, I actually have a little system where I kind of lay out the problems on a sheet of paper, and then I put the names underneath those problems. I group them amongst commonalities. Then if I post something, or I write something, or I see somebody else has a question about something, then I'll find those people that are in there and I'll tag them. Because they may miss it.
Wow.
And now we've got an entire engaged community going on, helping each other. By the way, the title of that is of the group page is Market, Grow, Succeed in Business. So the title alone gives you a clue what the page is about. I'm not going to set myself up to be the man with all the answers. I'm going to set myself up as the man who's got some great answers, but I have a whole collaborative community that's got more answers than I have.
I wrote that down, by the way. We'll have that in the show notes. Market, Grow, and Succeed in Business. And that's the Facebook community page.
That's
right?
the Facebook community page, yeah. It's already at 195 qualified members that I've hand-selected through other groups, and it's growing. My goal is to get to 1,000 in the next 10 days.
Well, the appearance on this radio show will do that alone.
Yahoo!
I'm joking.
Fame and fortune to follow.
I'm full of crap, Don. You'll figure that out.
Hey, at some level, isn't everybody, I guess?
So you do a podcast too. Tell us about that.
I do. So what I do is a 30-minute podcast once a week. Every Wednesday it's released. I just released one this morning. And I interview a successful business owner who has already gone through the rigmaroles of life. They've already gotten beat up. They've already struggled with their marketing. They've already started to figure some things out for themselves, and they're kind of on an upward trajectory. And the goal of the podcast is to inspire all of those entrepreneurs and business owners that are looking at it going, I don't think I can make it. I don't think I can do this. I'm about to lose everything. And the goal is to give those types of people some inspiration and hope to realize, you know what, we've all been where you're at. You're not alone. And through this conversation, here's some techniques that you can use to start to help your business today. So like today, I interviewed a brilliant couple. They owned offline businesses before they ever went online, but they've really learned email marketing upside down, inside out. They're brilliant not internet marketers, but email marketers. Mm-hmm. And so our whole conversation for almost 30 minutes was around some amazing ideas about how to not think about building an email list. Matter of fact, one of the things they said which blew my mind was, if there's people that aren't engaging with you through your email, remove them from your email list. Oh. Don't build a big list just for the sake of having a big list. You want an engaged list.
Yeah, I get that, and I'm a big chicken because I'm always afraid if I try to remove anybody, then I'm going to remove the wrong people.
Yeah.
It's like your AWeber bill is now double. Well, yeah, but I'd rather pay than make a mistake.
It's an interesting conversation. I'm saying that some of the strategies that they employ are absolutely brilliant, and so those are the types of things that we do on the podcast because we just want to make sure that people are getting the help they need to begin making that transition from mass marketing to context marketing and learning how to really think like the consumer, like the prospect, like the customer, so that they can really grow their business. Because I'm absolutely convinced there's a lot of great companies out there that have great products and great services and great core values and great philosophies, but nobody knows they're there.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's the name of the podcast? Did you say that before?
It's just my podcast. It's
Okay.
Unveil the Web
Okay.
podcast. You can, it's on the website over on the podcast page. There's also a link there to iTunes. It's on iTunes as well.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was getting at, was how can somebody find it? I should have just asked directly. How can somebody find it?
You can go to my website at unveiltheweb.com, go to the podcast link, and from there you can either download it off the website as an MP3, you can listen to it off of the website, or you can go to iTunes to listen to it or download it from iTunes.
Bam. There you go.
Boom. There it is.
Well, I listen to, one of the jokes around here, and we haven't talked about this in a while, but I typically will listen to 3 to 5 hours of podcasts every single day. So I may have to add that to my list now.
That'd be great. I would love that. I think you'll find there's a couple of exciting episodes in there that were really life-changing for me personally being on them. Episode 4 and 5 were really, really powerful in terms of giving me my guests schooled me. I mean, I love it when that happens. So.
Well, that's cool. We'll definitely have to check that out, and we'll put that in the show notes as well, because I always tell people podcasts are one of the best ways to learn and do it for free. I mean, it's like a free educational system out there if you get the right ones. So that's really great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. And our goal is, like I said, just put those tips in people's hands and give them something of value that they can actionably use right now to start making a difference in their business. And that's actually one of my core values. When I put something on social media, if I put something in my blog or video or podcast or whatever, if I didn't give you one thing that you can use right now to help your business, then I failed you and I failed me.
Well, you definitely haven't failed today.
Yeah,
I think we've touched upon quite a few things that people could add on right now. So that's fantastic.
And it's just a reminder to me to not get mentally lazy in my sales efforts. I'm probably more of a marketing guy than a sales guy, Don, although I've had so much sales training over the years that, I know what I'm supposed to be doing. I just get lazy sometimes. I think that's really it.
Well, I think a lot of people are like that. I mean, for business owners and entrepreneurs, it's already hard enough. I mean, I've already got all of this stuff to keep track of, and we sometimes don't think about this consciously, but there's 5 areas in every business that we're responsible for, and we all feel the burden of it, and it's heavy, and it starts with marketing, sales. Doesn't it figure my dog decided to bark at that particular moment?
Yeah, I work from home, so my dog always does that when I've got a phone appointment. She'll see a leaf out in the front of the yard blowing around, and she's never barks at it unless I'm on the phone.
Exactly, and I have corgis, so they just have a tendency to bark anyway. But I was going to say we have 5 things we have to keep track of in our business, and it goes in order, in my opinion: marketing, sales, production or delivery of a product or service, customer service, and administration. Mm-hmm. If any one of those 5 things get out of whack, we're going to have a problem in our business.
Oh, that's right. That's why I primarily was a commissioned salesman all my life, because I wanted to focus on the marketing and the sales and not be involved in anything else. Well, I mean, you're always involved in customer service, but you know what I'm saying. I wanted plenty of backup on the rest of the stuff. And that was great if you worked for the right company.
Right.
It got really tough if you didn't.
Well, and I have a firm opinion, and that's all it is an opinion, that the business owner ought to be putting themselves in a position to spend a minimum of 50% of their time every week in marketing.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that either.
And that's a minimum.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of their time should be spent in sales.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're building your business, now I know solopreneurs are in a different place and startups might be in a different place, and those numbers can fluctuate, but they need to be spending 50% of their time in marketing, because if you're not generating prospects who have real clarity around who you are as a business and they don't have a reason to buy you, you're never going to get sales. And if you don't get sales, you're not going to get any production or any products to deliver them. And if you don't have that, you don't have customer service. And if you don't have that, well, then there's really no need for admin, because there's no taxes to track or anything. There's no inventory. I mean, it all starts and ends with marketing.
Yeah. No, it does. And nothing happens until you sell something.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Don, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. It was a tremendous honor and blessing.
You know, and I love the fact that you had so many actionable things here. I really appreciate you kind of sharing those things with us, and I know that a lot of folks will be able to benefit from that, so I really do appreciate you doing that. That's wonderful stuff.
Well, I appreciate it, and a lot of that information is in my new ebook, which is really inexpensive on Amazon. It's only like $3, but it's all there, all the way through the beginning to the end of virtually everything we talked about in detail.
Ebook
Nice.
is I'm glad you mentioned that, because I have it here and I just overlooked it. But the ebook is titled "The Shift: The Fast-Paced Transition from Mass Marketing to Context Marketing." Now, if you can't remember that, just go to Amazon and Google. Go to Amazon and Google Don Purdum. Just type in Don's name and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right. Well, thank you again. We do appreciate that. And, of course, if anybody wants more information, we will have it in the show notes, and you'll be able to check Don out. So be sure to check out his podcast because, like I said, podcast equals free education, and we can't beat that, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, you can.
Unveiltheweb.com is Don's website. Well, Don, we're going to do tip of the week. Can you hang on, or do you need to go? Or
Oh, I've got plenty of time.
Okay, well, let's. Now, Ray, I'm assuming you've got a tip of the week.
Of course.
All right. Okay. Well, let's see if this bumper's working. Let's try. And now, tip of the week with Ray, the video guy.
That wasn't too bad. It worked a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, today's tip of the week is actually an easy one, and it's probably one that you've got right in front of you, and maybe you've used it, or maybe you didn't even know it was there. And that, of course, is not of course, because you have no idea what I'm going to say. That is the Facebook messaging app, and most specifically, the ability to do voice messaging back and forth using that app. Now, this only can be done on a phone, so you can't do this directly from the from the Facebook page. You have to actually use the Facebook messaging app. But inside of there, you can actually send voice messages to clients, friends, family, pretty much anybody you want, anybody that you can send a message to, and you can give it that personal touch. And we've actually used that quite a bit, for clients. And the interesting thing about it is, as much as they kind of appreciate, wow, I'm getting a voice message, most of the time they just say, whoa, how in the world did you do that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, as I said, it's right inside the Facebook messaging app. If you want to get your marketing to be a little bit more personal, whether it's through the Google Play or the iOS store, grab that Messenger app and try leaving a nice voice message for somebody. All you have to do is pick the person that you want to send a message to, and you'll see a little tiny microphone. And all you have to do is click that, hit record, and you can send them a nice voice message. So there you go. That's the tip of the week. Make your marketing personal.
And you can do what I do. I do imitations of other people when I leave.
There you go.
So that's always
People
good.
don't appreciate that Hitler one though. So
no.
cut that out.
Yeah, the Harry Carey they like, But of course, then I'll do it like 10 times. I'll just totally overdo it so I can annoy him.
There you go. That's fun.
That
All right.
sleeper, he doesn't know when to quit.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that does it for another week. And starting next week, we should be doing the show at least halfway from California.
Sunny California.
Yeah, it's going to be quite sunny. In fact, I see here, and built into my iMac is the little weather thing, and it shows Cupertino, California, which is the home of Apple, and I can see that the rest of the weekend it's going to be in the 70s and the 80s.
There you go.
How crazy is that?
Beautiful weather. It's nice in Omaha. It's like in the 70s or something.
Wow, that's crazy. We've been still pretty cold here. It was warm, then it got real cold. Now it's getting a little warm again, but still not great. So.
What's it like in eastern PA there, Don?
Well, let's see. I'm about an hour west of Philadelphia, and today.
Say an hour east of Philadelphia, would be be cold.
That would put us right on top of the Atlantic.
Be cold and wet.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's supposed to be in the mid 50s today, and then we're going to drop back down into the low to mid 40s through the weekend. So for this time of year, we're right on seasonal averages.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Did you guys get a lot of snow, or was that east of you?
No, we got dumped on pretty heavy the other day. I think we ended up with just a little over a foot.
Jeez, we didn't. I mean, we got 1, maybe 8-inch snowfall, and that was it out here.
Well, that was just about all we got for snow this year, though. I was kind of surprised. We got a couple of small storms where we might have picked up an inch or two, but nothing at all significant this year. It all went to our north. It all went up in New England.
Oh, yeah. Well,
believe me, I've been hearing about that.
Ray's family's from the Providence, Rhode Island area, so.
Oh, wow. My wife is from Norwich, Connecticut area, and my brother lives outside of Boston.
I lived just north of Norwich for years.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. Beautiful area.
Cool. Yeah. A small world, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Smaller every day.
That's right.
Maybe I get bigger. I'm not sure.
My head's getting bigger, I noticed. I've got a huge head to begin with, and I found my old high school helmet, and I tried to put it on, and it doesn't fit. So, football.
Football helmet, right.
Football helmet. It's the Online Marketing Radio Show, Video Marketing Madness, with Ray the Video Guy, and I'm Steve Sleeper. Our guest today has been Don Purdum, who helps businesses grow by thinking like customers and prospects. UnveilTheWeb.com. Today's show made possible by
AWeber, the easy way to do email marketing. Learn more at raythevideoguy.com/AWeber.
You can like our Facebook page at facebook.com/Video Marketing Madness. Get plenty of useful tips and news of the week. And Ray's Facebook Mastermind group is groups/online video marketers. Get views for your videos and questions answered. We had quite a bit of activity the last few days, so that's always nice.
Nice.
Is that open to anybody, Ray?
That is open to anybody who wants to be, in there and learn about video, I guess.
Awesome.
Yeah, I get some views and comments on my videos, and I don't have any questions because I know it all. But okay, that was a joke. No, it wasn't. But you can get, if you got questions on video, you can get them answered in there too. Typically, you can. So.
Yes.
Okay, well let's
fun place.
Let's see if this thing's working. Hold on.
He's Ray the Video Guy, yeah, Ray the Video Guy. His skill is where it's at. Even if he's a little fat, he's filled with video expertise and has so much knowledge that you need. His YouTube ninja tricks can make your marketing so sick. He's Ray the Video Guy, yeah, Ray the Video Guy.